Hi folks, this is your MWIS Fleeting View looking at the week ahead. Plenty more fine weather in the forecast, but we do have some local thunderstorms just to contend with in the next few days. Saturday's chart has high pressure centred to the east of us. There's a front that is draped away toward the northwest of Scotland. That may just produce some high cloud, which near to the northwest coast could just thicken enough to give an odd spot of rain. But otherwise, it's a largely dry and sunny, warm day for Saturday. A cool start, but soon warming up, and just some fair weather cloud to contend with. The hills and mountains generally in the clear. A breeze from the south will be fairly brisk at times across the Scottish mountains and will just start to strengthen as a southeasterly over England and Wales late in the day. But all in all, a fine Saturday to be out and about. The chart for Sunday has a zone of low pressure just moving up from the Bay of Biscay, and that starts to destabilise the atmosphere toward the southwest of England and Wales. Meanwhile, we've got a front which is still draped out toward the west of Scotland with a zone of high cloud, and also an area of enhanced convection just locally possibly popping up across the north and northwest of the Scottish Highlands. That means there's a greater risk of some showers and even potentially an isolated thunderstorm through Sunday afternoon here. We've got a southeasterly wind which will be a bit stronger across northern England and North Wales too for Sunday daytime, but across northern England largely still a fine picture with some warm sunshine. Let's just run that sequence through Sunday daytime. There is the scope for an odd burst of rain across South Wales from early in the day for that feature just coming up from the southwest, but that should move away westwards for a while. Some spots of rain across west and northern Scotland too associated with that front near the Western Isles. Take things onwards into the afternoon hours though, and across the Highlands there's that risk of some bursts of rain just popping up. The greatest risk is across the north and northwest Highlands, as mentioned, with that isolated thunderstorm risk here for the later afternoon. Mid and South Wales, Brecon Beacons, and across toward the further western portions in Pembrokeshire has a risk of some thundery downpours, increased risk here for Sunday afternoon and evening, and one or two of those heavier bursts of rain could just track northwest across Wales as well. The forecast detail gets really quite tricky as we head onwards into Sunday night and Monday, because that frontal zone that exists across northwest Scotland and the areas of thundery rain which will have formed during the daytime all kind of blend into one zone really, and somewhere across western Scotland, Northern Ireland perhaps, there is that potential for an area of heavy and possibly thundery rain to take us into early Monday. Now, not all the forecast models handle this the same, and that area of rain may develop much less than shown here, but it's the risk at least that Western Scotland has some heavy or thundery rain to take us into the start of the new week, and there could even be a few outbreaks of showery rain just form as well more widely during the daytime. Again, this chart perhaps is considered one of the more pessimistic models at this stage, but it does just have that risk of some rain being in that forecast. I think the greatest risk, again, must be said, is across Wales, mid and south and west Wales in particular for Monday, but Western Scotland not immune from just seeing a burst of thundery rain, especially onwards into the afternoon and the evening, with just a trough of lower pressure in play for Monday. Eastern areas may just feel a little bit cool with some cloud coming in from the North Sea for a while as well, and that easterly wind will be a feature heading onwards into the middle of the week. Tuesday sees higher pressure start to redevelop again to the north, so things are going back to square one really in terms of being a settled forecast from there on, with some cloud banks around at times just maybe coming in from the east but soon fading out, and sunny skies will prevail for many. Warmest temperatures out toward the west, the risk still of some local showers or thunderstorms south of England, maybe just South Wales as well through Tuesday afternoon. So a bit of a wobble in the forecast, for some rain being in the forecast for Monday and possibly Tuesday for some, but high pressure will rule the roost again once more onwards into midweek, with pretty high confidence of that again for a few days. Centred toward the north, so a general easterly drift, eastern hills a little bit on the cool side at times, western areas the best of the warmth and the extensive sunshine. Overall then, it's a settled story for the remainder of the week, and that could well take us onwards through into next weekend too, with high pressure once more in charge, with some pleasantly warm springtime days and some cool nights with the potential for slight frosts into the valleys and the glens. Uncertain detail further forwards will all surround how far low pressure over the Atlantic gets by this time. It may just swirl around in a circle and hardly get anywhere, but there's some potential once we go further forwards that lower pressure could well just get back into the picture coming in off the Atlantic. That might be a good 10 days, 2 weeks away, but we were just talking about that in the previous video, that we may start to see a returning westerly pattern later on in the month. We'll see how that unfolds, and I'll look at that in more detail in our next video on Tuesday. Keep up to date with your local details for that risk of thunderstorms in the days ahead in all our local forecasts on our website. That is your fleeting view. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.